So starting my own business at 23, I thought I'd be my own boss, earn more, and work less. But holy crap, was I wrong. What followed was nearly a decade of stress, financial hardship, and even a few trips to the hospital. I was a slave to my work, sacrificing my health and my personal life. It wasn't until I transformed my business, focusing on pre-construction services, an alternative contract structure, and redefining my client approach, that I truly gained my life back. If you're stuck in the same grind, tired of working for free, done with the tire kickers and the free estimates, and you want to guarantee profitability before, during, and after each project, then keep listening to learn how I turn things around. Trust me, if I can do it, you most certainly can too. As always, if you have any questions or comments, shoot me an email at tyler@trghomeconcepts.com. As always, I appreciate all the support, and I hope you enjoy this show. This one means a lot to me. What's up, everyone? Hope you are having a lovely week. It's another busy one for me. Seems to be the case. Uh-oh. I have a little space heater on, and I think I just kicked it. I don't know who I can get to do this, but my office is not properly insulated, and it's a little bit cold. So I have a space heater on like an old man underneath my desk, and I just kicked it, and I thought it was going to knock itself over, catch me and my office on fire. No, it's been another busy week. It seems to be the case. Good busy though. I'm excited about it. Nick and I hosted our first webinar for Modern Craftsman. It looks like we're going to be doing a handful more of them. So if there's something that you would like us to do a webinar on, reach out to me, Tyler at TRG Home Concepts. If there's something you want a little bit more insight on, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. Excited to do that a little bit more and offer some other opportunities for content for all of our followers and our listeners. What else is going on? I have the Kukin Brothers Trade Expo, Product Expo, excuse me. Sorry, Ryan. It is the live Product Expo, November 7th, 2024. You have to register beforehand. It is free, but you have to register. So go onto their website, Kukin Brothers, Kuiken brothers.com. Register for that. As soon as you hop on the website, it's going to be the first thing that pops up. And it's November 7th, 2024 in North Jersey, Whippany, New Jersey. Register for free online. See me there. I'm doing a couple live demonstrations with window flashings, integrating them into your envelope properly, and how to avoid some common mistakes and pitfalls of a poor window installation. So I hope to see all of you there. There's also, what else do I have going on? I'm traveling a bit for work here and there, a couple of odd days here, there, over the next couple of months. So I'll be in and out, normal work, social, some presentations, some speaking engagements. So a lot going on that I'm pretty excited about. It's been a lot of fun. I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying the educational aspect and side of things. Nick and I put together this pre-construction course, which we currently have for sale. We had gauged a bunch of our listeners as far as, hey, like, what is this worth to you? What would you pay for something like this? And then we basically took that and took about 60% off of that fee. And the idea for where we landed with the price of the course, so it's right now roughly $2,000. And the idea with that is that this should be the accountability that you need for your first pre-construction to charge that amount and get your foot in the door and start integrating this and implementing this into your business. Full transparency, I charge more than that for every pre-con that I do. Even if it's a set of built-ins, it's going to be around $2,500 for pre-con. Kitchens usually are around $6,500, $8,500, depending on how much work's going into that. A first floor remodel could be $8,000 to $10,000. So the idea with this, again, is to create some accountability there for you. We probably spent 5 months creating this, and it includes everything that you're going to need to essentially transform your business. We put all the steps in place, all the information. We recorded a bunch of content. There's templates in there, but you should be able to sign up a pre-con, purchase this course, and at that point, start implementing pre-con into your business, working your way through the course, using all the tools, the techniques, the templates, the information that we provided to start building and establishing yourself and differentiating yourself within the market, creating some true value for your clients and for your business to not only move away from competitive bidding, but getting paid to essentially serve as a consultant for a project before the work contract. So I'm excited to see how this transforms your lives, how this changes your business. For me, there's two things that I implemented and integrated into my business over the past 5 years that have been massively helpful to just creating a better lifestyle for me, a more profitable business for me, one of which was more of a time and material style of contract, which I couple with my pre-construction. And the other thing is my pre-construction, which for a long time wasn't a profitable or lucrative exercise for me. And I was using it as a way to land projects before I had a work contract, but I wasn't making money selling pre-con. So at this point now, which we explained through the course, we're charging a fee. It's not being applied to the work contract, and we are serving as a consultant to help develop pre-con, establish the feasibility for a project, and it's something that I get paid for, and I get paid more than my normal rate to do this. So it makes sense for me to pull off the job, take the tool belt off, and engage in pre-construction services because it's lucrative and it guarantees profitability on the back end. So if you want to see what that course is all about, shoot me an email, tyler@trghomeconcepts.com. If you're not happy with it, we'll give you your money back. But you should be able to recoup that cost literally the first time. Like if somebody emails you and is like, hey, we have a lead, and you're like, hey, we offer pre-construction services. This is what we do. How much does it cost? $2,000. You can get it paid for first lead that comes in your door. And realistically, in short time, you should be charging considerably more than that, and you should be 5xing, 10xing that within the first few leads as you develop your systems and work through the course. So the podcast and the blog post today is, the title of it is How I Got My Life Back. It explains the struggles that I experienced throughout the beginning stages of my career. I had a consulting call today with a young man who's in the beginning stages of business, and I speak to people all the time, a couple times a week, and a lot of them are owner operators. That's where I live. That's the space that I want to really provide as much education, as much content as possible, because that's the place where I feel comfortable. That's where I've made a living. That's where I feel much of our industry needs help and needs to elevate themselves. So it's so interesting to see the similarities between many different people that I speak with and the struggles that they have, and how relatable that is for me, how we all struggle with the same things, how our industry is essentially perpetuating these struggles and these trials. And it's really hard to get out from underneath of them, right? Everyone's working 80 to 100 hours a week when they first get started. They're doing so much work for free. They're basically, their sales angle and their pitch and their competitive advantage is that they're not properly capturing all of their hours. And I want to help people get away from that as soon as possible. The lifestyle that I've created for myself over the past 4 or 5 years by implementing pre-construction services, proper pre-construction services, the sooner that I can get people away from what they're doing, and into a system like I've created, or things that have worked for me. Like if they work for me in my market, they're going to work for you, and they're going to work for much bigger companies too. Like I use my business and my size and single member LLC as the benchmark for testing these systems and testing these processes, because if they work for me in a middle to middle high end market, they're going to work for most people. They're going to work for uh, larger contractors. They're going to work for people who do more volume. They're going to work for more specialized firms, people who build whole houses. So if you can implement what I'm doing into your business, um, if I can do that, everyone should be able to do that. I'm telling you. All of the struggles that you've experienced, that you've gone through, are similar to what I've done. So I started my business when I was 23. Um, to be completely honest, I thought that it'd be easier than working for someone. I thought that the money would be better, the schedule would be less demanding for me. I told myself I wanted to work hard and I wanted to be compensated for my time. And it wasn't until years later that I realized how wrong I was. My first 8, 9 years in business were extremely demanding. They were a struggle. I didn't make that much money. I worked twice as hard as I would have had I gone to work for somebody. Um, I really, at the end of the day, I had no idea what I was doing. And I wasn't getting properly compensated for my time. And the worst part about this, the worst part about struggling to figure out my business, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys and girls can relate, is that it didn't only affect my work, it affected my personal life, it affected my family, it even affected my health. I enjoyed work with my hands. That's why I got into the business. I enjoyed learning. I enjoyed educating myself. I enjoyed all of the challenges of the craft and the trade. Um, but I really didn't enjoy the financial pressures. I didn't enjoy the stress. And I most certainly did not enjoy working around the clock to try and make ends meet. There had been times in my career that I literally did not sleep. I would stay up all night to try and deliver a job on time or just make some sort of progress on a job. I thought I would catch up, but I never did. And it seemed for nothing. At the end of the day, all it did was create more stress, more anxiety, and more financial hardship because I was not working and concentrating on the projects that were lucrative and beneficial to me in my business, more so than just working on getting my head out of my ass and up above water. So, um, I guess the catalyst or the big shift in my life was the first time I essentially worked myself into the hospital, which was 2020, um, late spring, right after, maybe early summer, right after COVID, during COVID. And I just been working nonstop. Everyone stopped working. There was a ton of stress. We were considered I forget the word right now, an essential business. So I did not ever stop working. There was not a day that I stopped working during COVID, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate. And a lot of other people did. And the future was uncertain. What type of work was going to come was uncertain. How I would make money was uncertain. So I buried my head in work and I continued to take jobs that were not ideal. And one Saturday afternoon, my kids and my wife were at the neighbor's house. They were all hanging out. I think it was early summer, and I was building cabinets in my shop for this project. I had a built-in wardrobe, and then I had a built-in closet system. And I got done work, and I went inside, and my stomach started to hurt, and I felt really uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden, I started wheezing and my throat closed up. And it was as if I was having an extreme allergic reaction. My tongue swelled up. I couldn't breathe. I ran in the kitchen. I called my wife. She came over. I told her we needed to go to the hospital, and I chewed some Benadryl. Actually, we didn't have Benadryl in the house. So on the way to the hospital, we stopped at CVS. She ran in. She grabbed me Benadryl. I chewed 3 or 4 Benadryl and then just tried to relax as she drove me to the hospital. The neighbors continued to watch the kids, and we went to the emergency room. When I got to the emergency room, they put me on IV. They gave me more Benadryl, like a drip of Benadryl, and then they gave me epinephrine, which is adrenaline, which is an EpiPen. And essentially, they were saying I had an allergic reaction to something. So they asked me what my allergies were, didn't know what they were. And I didn't know why I got it. I hadn't eaten anything. I had been working with materials I'd worked with forever, and we couldn't really figure it out. So they wanted me to make an appointment with an allergist. I opted out of doing that because nothing checked out as far as why I had an allergic reaction. I had never had them before. So what I did is I took the rest of the day off Saturday. I took Sunday off. I recouped and I went to work Monday and I installed the cabinets that I had been building. I worked with all the same materials. I didn't have any allergic reactions. So my spidey senses were up as to what was going on. I'd been pretty stressed. I hadn't gotten much sleep, and I just attributed it to like maybe something I'd got bit by something. Maybe there was something on my hands that I ingested. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out, but I kind of wrote it off at that point, and nothing came of it until about 6 months later when I was trying to wrap up work on a gym renovation that had gone over budget. I was basically paying my employees to finish the job. I was working late hours. There was no money left in the project for me. It was the end of the year. We'd had a bunch of issues financially with our cars done, just like an absolute mess. And the day before Christmas Eve, I woke up in the middle of the night. I had the same stomach issues, and then my throat started to close up again. At least at this point, they gave me an EpiPen, so I used the EpiPen. I basically passed out on the bathroom floor, and my kids saw me get carted out of the house by a couple of EMTs in full respirators, full helmets because it was COVID. Like full suits, cart me out of the house the day before Christmas Eve. And then they had to come pick me up from the hospital because I left in an ambulance that day because my wife couldn't bring the kids to the hospital with me. So at this point, I was like, okay, something's up. I need to figure this out. And what I ended up finding out was that essentially I was so stressed and I had been working so much that I had depleted all the natural adrenaline in my body. So I had some sort of minor allergy to something that under normal circumstances, normal conditions, if I had been not as stressed, if I had gotten the sleep that I needed, it would have been a non-issue. I would have never even known. My body would have dealt with it and it would have been fine. But being that I had no adrenaline, which is what fights the allergic reactions, I depleted all of that by working so much and being so stressed. And just like physically exhausted, my body went into anaphylaxis again. So I realized at this point I had to make a change. That like I was literally killing myself. And it wasn't a lifestyle change; it was a business change. Like, and I guess at the end of the day, it was a lifestyle change because it was affecting all aspects of my life. But my business, the model wasn't working. I was working too many hours. I wasn't capturing all of my costs. So I had to make a change. And at that point was like, that was the catalyst. That was the impetus for making a change. It wasn't immediate though. I had a lot of work lined up. So I had to climb my way out of that. I had to slow down. I had to embrace the suck, as they say, as I worked through this. And then I had to really inventory my business. I had to see what I was doing wrong, why the clients weren't the right fit, what I could do differently, how I could differentiate myself. And I realized that the entire structure of my business wasn't ideal for who I was or for anyone. I wasn't pinpointing my ideal client. I wasn't selling proper design. I wasn't capturing any of my back end or office hours. I wasn't budgeting my jobs correctly. And I most certainly wasn't being compensated for my time. I was running around, I was giving out free estimates, I was entertaining all of my leads, and I was selling what I thought was profitable work. But the problem was with the incomplete designs, with the undefined scope, with the the open-ended schedules. Couple that with a personality that good enough is never good enough, and I basically created a business model that was unfit for any sort of success. It was unprofitable work. I was a slave to my customers. I was a slave to my work, and I was literally and figuratively burying myself. So again, I did a deep dive into my numbers, and I realized that I wasn't capturing most of my time on the back end, and a fair amount of time I wasn't capturing during the project. So I wasn't sticking and adhering to a budget because I didn't have a budget. So I didn't know how to properly allocate my time, my employees' time, my subcontractors' time. I was just paying for everyone, trying to work my way out of these projects. Um, I was putting more time and equity into the projects than my customers had agreed to or realistically were willing to fund. So I started working on my budget. I started tracking all my hours, all my expenses, and I did a deep dive into my operational cost as a small business. I really determined what type of lifestyle I wanted for myself, for my family, and what type of financial backing we would need to support this. I put in all the work, I held myself accountable, and I vowed to be honest with myself about my business and my numbers. I no longer would look at my year-end number and say I made this amount. I would actually quantify it based on how many hours I put into the work, and I would be honest with myself about that. Um, the second step in this whole process was to profile my client, to realize who my ideal client was. And to do that, I needed to understand who I was as a business, how I made money, how I could be different, how I could separate and differentiate myself from the competition, where I didn't have to compete with anyone else. Once I figured that out, I was able to find a way to market myself to the ideal client, the clients who valued what I did, the clients who would value a pre-construction service, who would adopt my billing strategy, my contract structure. The two biggest things, again, that I did was integrate a proper pre-construction service and also switch to a T&M type of contract, which I marry these two, and you can see this throughout this course, but I marry these two to be able to not only get paid up front for my time and planning, but then to guarantee that I'm not over investing in the project on the back end. So the results, the accountability, the profitability that this provided for me and my business were substantial and also immediate. I finally had developed a system that compensated me for my time. That's what I wanted from the get-go. I wanted to just work hard and get paid for it. And it also, not only did it I was being compensated, but I was not having to concede the hours running around providing free estimates, giving people free design ideas, providing my insight, my knowledge to clients who are never going to hire me. So the past 5 years, I have not gone out and given somebody a free estimate. All of my work, I'm signing pre-construction, regardless of how small it is, how large it is, and I'm being paid to serve as a consultant on the pre-construction end of things. So I no longer was having to get done work and then go meet with clients, to then sit at my desk to create an estimate, to create a budget, to sharpen my pencil, to stress about if I was going to land this job, what type of work I had, what my financial situation looked like, if this job would be profitable. I was no longer having to convince clients that my offerings were for them. The struggle that I ran into when I initially started differentiating is that I was using it to land the project, but not land the project at a premium. So I was putting a bunch of time and equity into projects. I was landing them, but they were getting a project that they didn't really pay for. It was a much higher quality. There was much more time invested. There were better products. And most of the time, they probably didn't even value them. They loved me. They loved the services. They loved the product. But at the end of the day, there was probably more important things to them, like getting it done for a specific price. I have some very exciting news for all of you. The Contractor Coalition Summit is hosting a meetup at IBS and KIBS. So that's going to be Monday, February 24th, 2025. I know we're already into 2025. It's crazy. 6 to 8 p.m. It's at the Nomad at Park MGM, Las Vegas. So this is not a summit. This is not a conference. Honestly, this is just going to be a bunch of people hanging out, open bar, food, and all the drinks that you can enjoy. And you'll have extra because I don't drink, so you can have my drinks. Early bird pricing is live. There will be no tickets at the door. So if you want to go to this, you have to buy them beforehand. I'm posting a link to it on this post. Hop on there now. You're not going to want to miss out on this. Again, no tickets at the door. February 24th, 6 to 8 p.m., Nomad, Las Vegas, which is at the Park MGM. I'll be there. Nick will be there. Brad will be there. Morgan will be there. And a lot of other people. So come check it out. Open bar, food, great hangs, great hanging out. It's really going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there. And let me know if you have any questions. So my model was not sustainable. The numbers were not sustainable. I was delivering an above average product and service at a competitive rate to the incorrect client, and I didn't know. This led to financial hardship, incredible levels of stress, and near disaster for me. So I want to talk about how changing my contract style and offering a comprehensive pre-construction service packages transformed my business. And this should be obvious, but I developed a process and a system that pinpointed my ideal client and helped me develop a proper client avatar that enabled me to better vet my clients and spend the necessary time to get paid for planning, develop a scope, build a schedule, establish a budget, be paid to value engineer, and also be paid to negotiate the contract and coordinate with all the project stakeholders, with my subs, with vendors, with designers, with draftsmen, engineers, architects, whoever that may be. So this entire pre-construction package, coupled with my new contract style, it guarantees me profitability on the back end of the job. I have an actual game plan that I can follow. I call it a cheat code, right? I have a cheat code that I can use to now manage that project according to the scope, all of the deliverables, and the expectations set forth during pre-construction. I'm able to ensure that we're remaining on budget and schedule. And if we are not, I have all the documentation in place that gives me access and affords me access to change orders or dipping into contingency if need be. But at the end of the day, I'm not funding the renovation. The client can choose how much of their money they want to spend and if they want to spend that money at the end of the day. So I can ensure that I'm hitting my margins that I assumed during the pre-construction aspect of this project. So again, I'm not competitively bidding. I'm getting paid for the planning, and I'm also guaranteeing profit on the back end because of my due diligence that I got paid for up front. So that's the business aspect of things. But how does pre-con and how does my new contract style affect my life, like my personal life, my family, my lifestyle in general? First off and foremost, I actually have a life now. I didn't have a life for a long time. I was committed and I was a slave to my clients and to my projects. I can recall my wife calling me and asking me for help and saying, absolutely not. I'm on the job. I cannot help you. with my family with her when she needed help. Call your parents, call a friend, somebody else can help you. I'm too busy. But if the tables were turned and I was helping or I was with my family and a client called that they needed something, I would 100% drop everything that I was doing to go appease that client or help them. And I realized that something was very wrong there. Um, so I'm no longer a slave to my clients. I'm no longer a slave to potential clients, my employees, my subcontractors, my business. I'm not competitively bidding projects anymore, which means I'm getting paid for my time. I'm not having to meet with potential clients. I don't have to work after work. I don't have to work on the weekends. I work during the day. I get paid for my time during the day. I get paid for any of my hours that I'm doing back end work, office work. I'm no longer providing free estimates, design advice, budgeting to clients that don't return my calls or even give you a simple thank you for the work. Um, I'm not constantly stressing at the dinner table, at my kids' athletic events, while we're watching TV, if I'm making money on the job. If the job that I just sent an estimate out for, I'm going to make money on. I know that if I am working and I'm executing the contract and the pre-construction, that I'm making money and I'm making good money. I no longer have to stay on jobs till 8 or 10 p.m. trying to make headway because I need to get paid. There are jobs that I will stay on that late, and it's because I want to progress. I want to get to a certain point. I want to get the clients in. I ran into things we just can't make up schedule, but I'm getting paid for that time. I'm not staying late and not getting paid for it, which is a huge difference. Staying late on a job and getting paid for it is one thing. Staying late on a job and not getting paid for it is completely different. It's few and far between right now that I still have to stay on a job and get paid for it, but it happens. It's I don't live in a perfect world. My business is not perfect. It's way better than it ever was, and it's pretty darn close to perfect, but it's not. So there's times where I have to stay late. There's times where I have to work, long days, but I'm getting paid for those hours that I'm working long days. I'm backing that against the budget. I no longer lay in bed at night or wake up in the morning not able to sleep because I'm wondering how we're going to afford life, how we're going to afford vacation, college, cars for my children as they get older. How is our family going to afford a future with the lifestyle and the business that I've created? Um, I no longer have to stay home while my wife and my kids go and spend a week at my in-laws' cabin up in New York. I'm no longer working and stressing myself to the point where I'm winding up in a hospital. So through these systems, through my pre-construction services, through my contract setup, I've created profitability, I've created efficiency, peace, and happiness for myself. I started riding dirt bikes. I have a hobby now that I never had before. I can focus on things outside of work, right? I can read, I can pick up a magazine. I don't have to constantly be worrying about my business and how I can better it and what's going wrong with it. I can actually enjoy my life. My work is a means to an end. I enjoy my work now because it's profitable, it's lucrative, it's spelled out in my relationship, my expectations, my communication with clients is all in place to create a lifestyle, a business that works for me and creates free time and happiness and peace of mind for me, which is absolutely huge. To have a hobby, to have a lifestyle, to have friends is absolutely huge and critical to happiness, success, and peace, and overall just having a good quality life. My business has never had the margins that I have now. My marriage hasn't been better. I have time to work my marriage. I have time to inventory my marriage, my relationship with my children, who I am as a father. I'm being paid to plan. I'm guaranteeing my profit. I'm capturing all of my costs, including the office end, including estimating, emails, back end work, as if I'm paying an employee to do that, which I can never do before. And I think that that's something that a lot of small business owners struggle with. I'm able to disconnect from my work, which is absolutely amazing. And I never had the ability to do at all, not even a little bit. I couldn't eat dinner and disconnect from work. I had my computer open, my phone on the counter and just waiting to get done dinner so that I could get back to figuring out whatever I was in the middle of. Um, so at this point, I have a healthy relationship with my work. I have clients who value what I do and pay for it during pre-construction and during contract. I have boundaries with my clients and with work. I have hobbies. I have financial stability, and I have free time. Like, I don't feel like there's much more than I could want. Um, all of these things took years to develop. It's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of trial and error. Um, it hasn't been easy, but knowing what I know now, it was worth it. And it was worth it for many reasons, because I'm at the point where I am now that I don't have to work 100 hours a week. I can work far less. I can work 32, I can work 40 hours a week, and I can get paid for all of those hours, whether I'm swinging a hammer or whether I'm sitting at my computer doing pre-construction work or office work. Um, I'm not married to my clients. I am not married to my work. And now it's all worth it. But for a long time, it wasn't worth it. And a lot of people I speak with on consulting calls, they're wondering if it's worth it. They're wondering if it makes sense to go to work for somebody. You know, they're tired of running around and providing estimates. They're tired of having no life. They're tired of working 80 to 100 hours a week. So it's worth it now. It's worth it to have the platform on the podcast that we do to be able to share all of this with you. It's worth it to be able to create enough freedom in my life that I can sit down and spend 5 months with Nick creating a course, explaining to you and walking you through what we do to create this type of freedom and financial stability in our lives and in our business. Had it not been for this, I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to do my mom's kitchen in between doing all of this, because I would need to work for the jobs that were paying me very small margins, feed the beast, feed the machine, and basically tread water, just my head right above water, trying not to go under and drown. So throughout all of this, I've afforded myself enough time and financial security that I don't need to sell $1 million of work a year. My margins are really high. I try and hit margins between 40 and 50% on my projects, through being lean, through capturing all of my costs, through managing them properly, and through the pre-construction services that I offer. And I've afforded myself an opportunity to share all of this with you and create this course and help walk you through this, especially the smaller owner operators. I do a lot of consulting calls. And if you're interested in a consulting call, absolutely reach out to me, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. I would love to speak with you about your business, help you provide some clarity, some insight as to how I operate, as to how I deal with clients, as to how I line up projects, as to how I market myself, anything that you want to talk about. It could just be about life. If you want to hop on and talk about life, I will most certainly hop on and speak to you about life. But I've had many people since I started offering my consulting that wanted to know about pre-con. It would, on average, take us probably 10 hours to be able to have conversations about pre-construction for them to understand what I was doing and start to gain the confidence to be able to sell this in their own lives. That, to me, was a huge investment for these people, much more than $2,000. And I couldn't replicate that. Like, if I was spending 10 hours with one client, I couldn't spend any time with another client. And to me, like, with what I'm trying to do and trying to impact as many people as possible and create a better industry for owner operators and small contractors, that was like a wall that I was hitting, because 10 hours of my time is a lot of time, like, to devote to anything, to let alone a call every week with a client. So 2.5 months with a client to hop on a phone call to teach them and not have a system in place to teach them what I'm doing, and then possibly schedule more calls after that to have questions about that. So the course affords you that at a much lower price point. And also, it affords me to be able to impact more people by investing, that 5 months up front. And Nick and I putting way more time into this than we should have. And also to constantly be going back and adding to the course, adding more information as we progress, as we get more feedback from people, as we update the course. Like once you're in, you're in. Any updates, any bonuses, any additional templates, any additional information as we progress, as we further develop our processes, you get. You get access to a private Facebook group where everyone who's purchased the course, obviously Nick and myself, and a few of our other peers are on there to be able to answer your questions. So you have access to not only us to answer questions on pre-construction, but what works for everyone else who purchased the course and their unique insight as far as where they are, what their market looks like, what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and how they've had success implementing this into their market and their business and their lifestyle. So the goal for us was to be able to create something that you could immediately recoup the investment, first lead that comes in on your plate. Shortly after, within 6 months, within the first year, 5x, 10x, 20x that fee to create freedom in your life to be able to get paid an additional revenue stream, right? The idea is not just to create more work for you. It's to create more lucrative work and an additional revenue stream. You should be able to charge enough for these pre-construction services the way that we outline them in the course that you could hire somebody to do this, pay them, and still make decent margins on top of that. This is not an inexpensive service. This is a very comprehensive service, but it's not used just to create more work for you. It's not used just to land a project. It's used in an alternative revenue stream for you. So the way that I use it is that I have to do less work. I get paid for pre-construction. I finish pre-construction, I execute the work contract. While I'm executing that work contract, I can be working on pre-construction for another. So essentially, as a one-man band, as an owner-operator, I'm working a project, and I'm also working another project that's paying me a higher rate than my tool belt work for pre-construction. So I have two revenue streams as one person, and it's not creating that much work for me. So the amount of money that this makes me just executing the pre-construction services is great. It's an additional revenue stream. It's a higher hour per hour, dollar per dollar rate than I get when I wear my tool belt. But the other aspect of that is some of the intangibles, right? The differentiation. The fact that I'm not competitive bidding, the fact that I don't have to run around and look at other jobs. I can distill my leads. I can understand who my client is. I can charge more for my work that I'm actually doing. And then also, I create efficiencies within that work through pre-construction that are guaranteeing my margins on the back end. So not only am I making money during pre-construction, a really good rate, but I'm actually making higher margins on the jobs because I've spent the time up front to guarantee my profitability and structure this project in a way that hits the margins that I need to survive. So it's a absolute win-win for me. It has absolutely changed the way that I do business. It's changed my life. It's changed my personal life. It's changed my marriage. It's changed my relationship with my kids. It's changed my relationship with my clients, how I vet clients, how I entertain leads. It's done more for me, these two things, the contract style and the pre-construction, than anything else in my business. Marketing, rebrand, website, social has done for me than anything else in my life. If you have questions about the course, if you are hesitant, if you don't think that this is something that you can sell in my market, reach out to me. we can speak about it. I'm not looking to sell you something that I do not firmly believe there's instant equity and instant value in, that you can literally recoup the first lead that comes through your email and say, hey, would you be interested in signing up for pre-construction? This is the cost. Here's the cost of entry. And I'm going to hold myself accountable to learn how to do this and implement this into my business. I 100% confidently agree with that. I am 100% confident that as we progress throughout this as a community, as a network of people, as we work through the pre-con, as we help answer your question, as the community gets together and shares their experience on this Facebook group, as Nick and I are able to add additional documentation, additional information, additional bonuses to the course, better information, more critical information, as we're able to distill the course as we progress through. As things change, the more information that we get from all of our community, that this will continue to get better, right? This course is going to continue to get better. It's going to continue to be refined. And you're a part of that from the outset, right? This is something that you invest in once, and you're a part of that community forever. So it's 100% worth the value. It's 100% worth the price of admission, and you will recoup it the first time that you sell it. And you should be making 5-10x that within the first year very easily. Again, I told you the rates that I charge. I would not charge less than that. You know, the smallest pre-construction fee I'm going to charge would be $2,500. And above and beyond that, and it just goes up from there. Like I said, most of my pre-cons are between $6,500 and $8,000, and they account for probably 40 hours worth of my time, which for me is a good paycheck. You know, when you add that to your existing work that you have going on, and understanding that you're probably spending, you know, a few hours a week as you progress through pre-construction and you work with designers and all of that as you progress, that's just additional revenue stream that's not super demanding of your work, that's making you money. So if you have questions about it, if you're uncertain this is something that would work for your business style, for your market, for your structure, reach out to me directly, tyler@trghomeconcepts.com. If you would rather hop on an hour phone call, if you want to speak to me on StreamYard and this is something that you're considering, but you're just, you know, you have questions, you're unsure what the course involved, reach out to me. I'll help you know. I'll help you figure it out. I'm not looking to sell you something for the sake of selling it. I want this to better your life, better your industry, make you more money, create some freedom in your life, have you work less, have you locate and pinpoint your ideal client, and really change the industry as a whole. That's the goal for Nick and myself, is to afford everyone in this industry, regardless of where you live, what market you're in, access to some of these, what I call luxuries, that Nick and myself have established for our own businesses and our own lives. And it can be done on a volume-based market, as an owner-operator, as a subcontractor, as a custom home builder, as a spec builder. All of this can be integrated into any size company, any business. At the end of the day, I want to be able to help all of you. And I think that this is what impacted my business and my life the most, which is why this was the first course that we decided to invest our time, and our money and our resources into, because it has just been so impactful for us. So there's going to be more of this. There's going to be quicker hits. There's going to be templates. There's going to be, based on input from you guys, ways that we can help you, right? Where do you struggle? What do you need help with? What would be a helpful course for you? What price point would that course be? How much are you willing to spend an hour on a phone call, a consult, a webinar, a group class? How can we help you? What do you want to spend? What information do you need to help us transform your business, transform your life, and just create some freedom and some financial security for you? So again, any questions, reach out to me, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. A lot of information comes through our email list. So if you haven't signed up for that, go to moderncraftsman.co, sign up for that. Again, reach out. Like I said, the biggest thing for me is just being able to share how much this has changed my life and my business, and hope that you can afford yourself some of that too, because it's not always easy. It's still not always easy, but it was really hard for a really long time. And I don't want that for anyone. And in order to make a change, in order to change the standard and to raise the bar, we need to do this as a whole. We need to create some better standards and systems within our industry. And I think that we can all do that together. So I appreciate you guys all hanging around. I appreciate everyone on the webinar yesterday. I think we had like 250, 260 people that hung around for almost the whole hour. So very grateful for that. I think Nick and myself will be doing more of them. So if there's something that you want us to address or want to have a webinar, reach out to me, let us know. But I appreciate all the support as always. Appreciate you guys hanging around. Check out the website, check out the course. I'll post a link to the course through the podcast, and also probably through my Instagram and on the blog post. So if you go to the blog post on the website, there'll be a link within the blog post for this course. So it's Modern Craftsman, www.moderncraftsman.co, not .com, .co. Check it out. Let me know what you think. I'll answer any questions. Also, sign up for the email link because the course will come through there as well. All right, guys and girls, I'm signing off. I will catch you next week. As always, I appreciate it.